Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Check us out on the socials: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We got a Twitter poll out there that Mike's going to talk about. Listen to us on Spotify for podcasters or wherever you listen to your podcast. We're out there on just about all the major ones and some of the minor ones too. And watch us on YouTube as we continue to do our YouTube journey. So we're recording later in the week to try to, well, this is our schedule. This is just what happened. We're not trying to do anything. It's what we are doing. And so normally we would recap week one and focus in on week two. Well, week two starts tonight with the Eagles in their home opener against the Vikings. And so we are going to talk about our New York teams because, well, some more compelling than others, and then talk about the week two matchups. And then as we do that, talk about how the week one matchups are affecting the week two matchups. So it's not a week one recap for you right out of the gate. So as we do that, I've got my Bills stuff on. Mike has his Giants stuff on. So, Mike, how the heck are you, first and foremost? And then well, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm doing better now than if we did record on Monday, Dave, because I think you and I both would have a different, or Tuesday after, the Bills Jets game would have a
Yeah,
different tone and a different attitude.
no doubt.
The sun did come up tomorrow, so we're happy to be here. Nice fall, crisp air. Windows are open. It feels great up here in upstate New York. So let's get right into our Twitter poll that's out there, Dave. Today's think about it question is, which team is in the most trouble after week one? The Bills, the Jets, or the Giants? And right now we got a three-way tie, buddy. 33% for everybody.
Oh, good
Uh,
Lord.
so we need someone to get on there and break the tie.
Come
But
on. Come on, people.
yeah, help us
That's
out.
that's just not accurate, okay? It's just not.
um,
Oh boy.
so
Well,
we'll start with my Giants, dude. What can I say? It was, aside from the first drive where they had Dallas on their heels
oh,
a little bit
absolutely.
off
On the ropes,
balance,
no doubt.
running those veers and cuts at the line. Saquon, getting 7-8 yards at a rip, and Daniel Jones. They even ran the Josh Allen student body right play
Uh-huh.
for a first down. Get down to the red zone, and I almost went green zone. Tom Coughlin there. Get down to the red zone, mess up, get a penalty, got to kick a field goal, and then that's when the wheels literally came off the cart. The engine shit the bed, whatever you want to say, dude. It died right there with that blocked field goal.
Yep.
Run back for
58 yards.
uh, uh, Graham Gano, our best player by far, also injures his hamstring attempting some sort of running tackle that was super ineffective. He's going to be fine. Looks like he's going to kick this week. But from that moment on in Sunday night's game day, Dallas just put it on us, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Tipped balls for pick sixes and fumbled, and uh, just terrible, terrible things like there was a curse on the team almost.
Yeah.
And so by the time halftime hit, it was like the game was over.
Yeah.
Everybody was
26 to nothing at halftime.
right, and it felt like 100. The air was sucked out of the stadium, and frankly, the Giants didn't play as hard in the second half as I would have hoped from a week one Brian Dable team. It's the first time I've been unhappy with their effort under this regime. I understand it. They're human. They have emotions and they
Sure.
have to deal with them. And they certainly didn't come out expecting less against, especially, Dallas, but anybody, and knowing it's on Sunday night and everybody's watching and, the national spotlight, all of that. They are human beings, but man, have some personal pride, get out there and at least fight.
Yeah.
And we got some uh, garbage time for everyone on the roster, which I guess is good. But I'm pretty sure from what I've heard from the Giants this week out of practice and stuff, they're doing what I'm doing. Is you just have to throw that game away like it never happened. If you dwell, I certainly learn from what mistakes you can, but you can't dwell on it. Chew up the meat and spit out the fat, as they say, and move on to week 2. So that's kind of the attitude I'm taking too. Sunday night I felt Dave like someone who was just punching me in the gut repeatedly.
Oh yeah.
And you and Stevie Covers and the group text were very supportive, which I appreciate. But nonetheless, I was crying tears of regret into the pillow of remorse that night. So anything you saw in that game? I mean,
no.
Did we learn anything about Dallas, I guess is the question.
Yeah,
Besides
I mean, I
having
think
the incredible pass rush that's going to have to be dealt with all year by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you learn, and I was looking at the stats while you were talking here. I mean, they only produced 265 yards of offense, the Cowboys. But when you get special teams plays and whatnot, that changes things. No, right. I think what we learned is there was a lot of hype going into this game. A lot of people talking about the Cowboys are going to be one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're going to be dealt with, and they're going to break their Super Bowl streak and all this kind of stuff, and playoff wins and blah, blah, blah. All that being said, they very well could have folded up like a cheap suit in the rain, but they didn't. They came out and showed some character. Now it's a regular season win, and a lot of people will say exactly that. It's a regular season win, but I think you learned, that the Cowboys are going to have a good year, and they're going to be solid, which, so many people in the United States are going to, the puke emojis are going to come out. But yeah. I think that's what you learned as far as that goes. I
mean, Micah Parsons is superhuman. He's Lawrence Taylor reinvented it. If you weren't privy enough to watch Lawrence Taylor play, this is what it was like. He came in and he was faster, stronger, more intuitive than anybody on the field we'd ever seen, especially at the linebacker position.
Mm-hmm.
And Micah Parsons is probably, Derek Thomas had a little bit of that back in the day. Certainly others I'm sure I'm forgetting, but this Micah Parsons is something special. And so what he does to wreak havoc just strengthens that defense so much more, and they have so many stars. I frankly think that the Dallas offense is going to be mediocre. I think Dak is an above average quarterback, but not special. And but that's all they're going to need, especially in this NFC that we all agree is not as strong as it's been in many years. There's probably now 3 teams at the top of the NFC. Yeah, and we'll talk about that as we go. But
and the pundits are saying the same thing. I heard a lot this last week that the NFC is just down. But then you see some of the things that happened in week 1, and you go, well, maybe it's not as bad as you think. But it is just week 1. And look, everybody, I'll say this multiple times on this podcast: pump the brakes. All right, we do not need to go overly crazy about the fact that the Giants had 5 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and Daniel Jones was sacked 7 times. Okay. Like it's 1 week. They're going to throw it out. They're going to come back. They play the Cardinals this week.
Yeah. They have the get right game with the Cardinals for sure. We'll get to that, but
yeah. So
yeah, you're right. Point well taken. Pump the brakes. Speaking of pumping the brakes, Dave. So Monday Night Football. Well, let's take the Aaron Rodgers piece first. Okay. We'll get that out of the way, and then we'll talk about the game. Yep. So
he's hurt. Goodbye.
He's hurt. Goodbye. Pre-game is continuing the Aaron Rodgers porn from
Hard Knocks.
From Hard Knocks. They just went from one tube to another on that. And 9/11. They got all the emotion. They had the hero. He runs out with the flag and the
Flag. Oh my
spotlight.
gosh, the
It
place
was like,
was
yeah,
exploding how
it
loud it
was up for
was.
grabs, as they used to say. It was just going crazy with emotion.
And I
Um,
did hear this, and I don't know if you caught this, Mike. They sold more tickets for this Jets Bills game than they did when the Super Bowl was there.
really,
Yeah,
how's that?
that they
They must have added
snuck.
some seating,
Yeah,
or
I don't
they.
know. They snuck that in there
Mm,
talking about, and I was just like, are you kidding me? Yeah, they were at 83,345 and the capacity is 82,500. Anyways,
wow.
it's just feeding into the hype monster as Mike
Right.
is talking about.
Right. And so as we all know, the Jets take the field. 4 plays later, Rodgers. I thought he like tore some ligaments in his ankle. It looked like he twisted his left ankle or something.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was weird because he stood up and he a calm look on his face. There, direct shot right into his helmet, and then
Yeah.
he just sat down. And it almost reminded me in college when kids pretend to be hurt because it's a free timeout at the end of the
Yeah.
game. Just
Yeah.
for a split second, I was like, is he doing something, some kind of, because he's a student of the game and he knows all the rules, and so maybe I
Yep.
thought he was doing something there, but no. And then when he's under the tent, and okay, the MILF hunter comes in, and we have all that talk. But when the cart showed up, Dave, that's when I
Yeah.
really was like, oh, there's trouble. And then 15 minutes later, they have a shot of him on a cart going to another room, and
And with
he's
the
got the,
boot on.
yeah. And, all the Twitter doctors immediately were diagnosing the Achilles tear,
Yeah,
and it
which
was
and
confirmed.
I thought too, Scott Van Pelt made a great point at halftime. They were talking about these people on there, and he said, the internet doctors and the people that have not actually seen the patient are typically not right.
Right.
And so it was just very interesting because they were saying they hadn't heard anything, and so it was interesting as far as that goes. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers. And then you start to see on the social media stuff the pictures of his calf and saying your
Right.
calf is not supposed to look like that, and it's this big bulging,
Right.
you know,
It's
mass.
really the most gruesome injury you can see, because you could see the Achilles like literally roll up the back of someone's leg, and like you said,
Yeah.
rest on the calf like that. It's disgusting.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can go anywhere, and I'm sure our fans have in the last few days, and talk about, what this does to the Jets franchise and who's going to play quarterback and all that nonsense of Kaepernick and, maybe Matt Ryan or, RG3 throwing his hat in the ring. That
Carson
that clip's on
Wentz.
our Twitter feed if you need to see that. Um, but I want to ask you, Dave, what does this do for Aaron Rodgers? Let's say realistically, I think he's not going to play another down ever again. 39-year-old with an Achilles. Now, certainly this is not the way he wants to go out,
No.
and he'll do everything he can to come back. But this is not a 9-month injury. This is a full year plus, probably. So let's say he never plays again. What does that do to his legacy, if anything, do you think?
I mean, I I think it's difficult because I don't think it does much to his legacy. Let me say that. I think
Okay.
what's challenging is he has had an opportunity with the Jets to enhance his legacy, right? Do
Mhm.
it with another team. Get another team into the playoffs and maybe to the Super Bowl, enhance the legacy. So, I mean, he gets injured. He's 39. Freak things happen. It's not like he was, they're down near the goal line and he takes the ball himself and dives in and gets hit. And everybody goes, well, that's a stupid move for a 39-year-old. That's not what happened here.
Right, right.
Um, so I think that part is fine. I think it's interesting. There's been a lot out there saying, oh, everybody thinks he's going to come back and be fine. I heard somebody else say, look, Dan Marino tore his Achilles. I think they said when he was 38. He played a bunch more years after that, but he wasn't the same. Certainly, we're talking about a good 20 plus years ago when that happened. There's definitely, better health and rehab and all of the things, but I don't know. I'm just wait and see. I'm not willing to say he's
Make a declaration either way.
definitely coming back, because you don't know how his 39-year-old body is going to respond to that. Everybody's
Right.
like, well, he's such a great this and great that. And I don't doubt that he's
Right.
going to work his tail off to try and come back. But just because you're willing to do the work doesn't mean your body is going to respond.
So
So,
one quick thing I wanted to ask you about before we get to the actual game. So this happened on Monday Night Football, right? So what's the most gruesome injury that's happened on Monday Night Football? Obviously, believe Joe Theismann's leg exploded. It was
yeah,
on
was
Monday Night
that on
Football.
Monday night?
I'm pretty sure it was.
I mean, that one was pretty gruesome.
Bo Jackson wasn't as gruesome, but he got hit out of bounds there, and his hip went out of place, and he ended up having to have hip replacement surgery. And at that time, the science was not great.
I feel like there's another one that I'm not remembering.
Well, I had a terrible thought today, and it's either funny or terrible. So you're going to tell me which.
Yep.
John Lennon got shot on Monday Night Football.
Oh, yeah.
Howard Cosell broke it to the nation of Monday Night Football that John Lennon was shot in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that I thought that, but that might be the worst. But crazy that these injuries happened on Monday Night Football. And for the Jets, they signed Favre. He gets hurt fairly quickly, but the most famous one is Vinny Testaverde, right?
Yep.
Almost the same thing.
Testaverde was there at the game Monday night,
right.
on the field, so I mean,
right.
the parallels are eerie, even though at that point the Jets were coming off being in the AFC title game the year before. There was tons of hype. I mean, the Jets were in a similar spot here. I mean, they didn't have the success this team didn't, that team did, but the hype surrounding them, some of the talent. I mean, that Jets team, Curtis Martin, Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, huge. Bill Parcells is coaching them.
Right. They were the favorites to win the Super Bowl that year.
Testaverde goes in the first game. They lose to the Patriots. They end up finishing 8-8, missing the playoffs. They did rally around Ray Lucas. And got to 8-8, but after that, Parcells left, and then you have the debacle that is, Bill Belichick coming in for a week and then leaving and going to the Patriots. Very, very short. And the Jets, literally from that point, never recovered until now. Right. So,
they made the AFC Championship game under Rex Ryan, so I don't know. I can say they never recovered. Can't wait.
So.
Good talk. So let's get to the game. Give me the Buffalo perspective, Dave. 22-16, such drama. So that happens, and that emotion has to be set aside by both teams, but really the Jets. We talked about with the Giants being human. I can't imagine what the Jets had to deal with to put that aside and continue to play this great game. And we'll go through the ending with the doink and all of that. But tell me, everyone now is jumping from the Bills are a Super Bowl contender to they're on the decline all of a sudden from this one game.
Yep.
And I know I was saying that before the season, and I still believe that, but not because of Josh Allen. I didn't think, you can listen to our preview podcast about that. So, again, I'll shut up. Give us your Buffalo perspective.
Yeah, pump the brakes. Again, I'm going to say pump the brakes. Look,
okay.
The Bills had a 13-3 lead at halftime. It felt like a game. Their defense played very well. Now, there were definitely some spots, and I thought
whose defense played well? The Jets?
The Bills' defense played well. And I thought, though, there were some good points from Chris Collinsworth, even though most of the time they're terrible, where he said, in these situations, Aaron Rodgers would have taken advantage of this matchup or that. And I think he was right.
Yep.
There were some spots where Aaron Rodgers would have made a difference in that game. Regardless, the Bills defense played well. They had a lead at halftime. And the second half, I mean, Josh Allen just took too many risks. And again, the defense played great. The Jets didn't even get 300 yards. They did get the Matt Milano interception early on. The only touchdown they gave up was after the Josh Allen fumble, which was deep in their own territory.
Right.
So the defense played well enough for them to win. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's a big thing. The defense gave up 16 points. If you give up 16 points per game in the NFL, you're going to have one of the best defenses and do very well. So yes, the defense, I'm good. There was, some criticisms here and there about this. Stop. They gave up 16 points. Josh Allen turned the ball over 4 times. Somebody said, well, the first interception, it was like a punt. Well, I saw somebody had frozen and taken a screenshot. I just saw this today of his first interception. And he gets out of the pocket. He's rolling to the left. And they stopped it as he's getting ready to throw the ball. And there's nobody in front of him for 10 yards.
Mm.
And somebody was like, why is he throwing that? When I think the argument was like every other time
he'd run it.
He would just run for the first down.
Right.
Instead, he throws it deep into double coverage and it gets intercepted. In the second one, same thing, taking too many risks. And Josh Allen comes out and says, I'm doing that. I shouldn't do that. I think for me as a Bills fan, I am a little frustrated with that because he's now in his 6th year. And he needs to know better. I know that this is a problem for him. There was a big focus in the offseason about he's going to cut back on these types of turnovers. We know he led the league with most turnovers last year. Now, in his defense, he has the ball in his hands with the passing and the running,
by design.
Arguably more than any other quarterback player in the league. So he's going to have more opportunities to do that. Regardless, you can't throw a game away like that, particularly against a divisional opponent. And so I can see why people are going crazy, but pump the freaking brakes, people. Okay. The Jets played a good game. The Jets defense was good. The fact that, the second half was not great, but yet the Bills were able to, when they had the ball at the end of the game, drive right down the field and get a field goal, even though it was a doink, get a field goal to tie the game and send it into overtime. So despite the fact that the Jets have this historic defense, which everybody says, well, they're going to compare them to the 85 Bears. Again, pump the brakes. And you've got a quarterback who throws 3 interceptions that, quite frankly, I could have caught.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not like these guys made the guy Whiteside made tremendous plays. No, the ball was thrown right to him. But anyways, pump the brakes, folks. Let's take it easy. I've seen multiple things, a couple of years ago, the Bills, feel good story. They open up the season at home. They get whooped by the Steelers. Everybody goes nuts. That team went to the AFC Championship game. So let's just calm down with the week 1 overreactions. People saying Josh Allen needs to go, Bean needs to go, and McDermott needs to go. Like,
no,
those people are just, I don't know where they are. They live on another planet. That being said, I mean, it's concerning that this happened.
Does the running game still bothers me. It bothered me the last couple of years with Singletary and Moss. And I don't, I said in preseason, I don't think they solved that issue. And the fact that, Cook had 12 attempts for 46 yards, 3.8 average. Yeah. Josh Allen is your second leading rusher, which you're trying to get away from. And then Latavius Murray had 2 rushes. So really only ran the ball 14 times. and threw the ball 41. I think that ratio, obviously Josh Allen's going to be the focus, and you're going to be mostly an air attack. But yeah, if you can't counterbalance it with a legitimate run threat, I just don't see it working out. Historically it hasn't. So does that concern you still, or is it again just one game and we'll see what happens?
Not necessarily, because this is where I will go back and say the Jets do have a very good defense. Okay. So the fact that, and officially the Bills had 22 carries, but it's still, twice as many passes as runs, right? You'd like to say, okay. Whereas you look at the Jets, 28 rushing attempts, 22 passing attempts, you'd like to see a better balance. I'm not sure you're ever gonna, maybe it's not 2-1, passing to running, but I think the Jets, right. I think the Jets defense has something to do with that. Okay. That being said, I'm not concerned. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. And I get you. I get where you're coming from. I'm not overly concerned, because I thought, I don't know, there certainly were some, I thought the running game was okay. Now that's just me. It
looked like there was something there, but they just didn't go back to it. I guess that's the play calling, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
And the play calling is definitely,
you run to set up the pass, and they just don't.
Yeah.
Or you pass to set up the run, but they don't do eat. They just pass to set up the pass.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen some folks say this too. My issue is I thought the play calling was fairly conservative. Now, are you doing that because it's the Jets defense and whatever? Okay. And I'm not saying you have to take chances, and certainly not what Josh Allen did, but it just seemed to me like there was not enough creativity in the play calling. And for me, I would say you want more creativity in the play calling against a really good defense, because you want to try and perhaps fool them some more, do some different things or whatnot. I thought the play calling was conservative. I think the Bills have tremendous offensive talent. Use it.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
I agree. All right. Well, remember when we said this wasn't a week 1 review when we got on 25 minutes ago? Well, let's get into the week 2 matchups, Dave. And the first one is, as you said, tonight, Eagles versus Vikings. And probably the most shocking, not most shocking, one of the most shocking scores to me was the Vikings losing in week 1, 20-17 to the mascot and his band of brothers down there in Tampa. And Tampa still has the bones of a very good defense, and we talked about that already. And, Mike Evans and Godwin, all those guys have a lot of talent. So, I guess we shouldn't be too surprised. And maybe we've been underestimating Tampa going into the season. But, still, Baker Mayfield's still their quarterback. Kyle Trask must not be very good, because he would imagine he would have gotten a shot by now. But
it's a bad loss. It's a bad loss by the Vikings.
It's a bad loss, right?
I mean, they're coming off, the humiliating loss against the Giants in the playoffs. You'd like to think they could step up and play a little bit better. And Cousins was great and Jefferson was great, but you still lose the game.
They missed Dalvin Cook, frankly. They couldn't run the ball at the end when they needed to.
Yeah.
And then they're playing Philly, who, if I remember correctly, won pretty handily, right? Oh, no. They beat the Patriots.
Yeah, they beat the Patriots, right. It was, it was, a blowout early, and then, the Patriots come back and certainly make it a game. I don't know. It's still early, I think. And I think you saw some of that, still working through.
Better than I thought it was going to be honest with you. They were more with Bill O'Brien calling the plays instead of those 2 idiots last year. It just seemed like they had a plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the Patriots are going to be in a lot of games this year. I think they're going to lose a lot of games, but I would be surprised they got blown out more than once.
Yeah.
Because their defense very good. They're pretty conservative on offense, and they're still, a great coaching staff. So, what do you like tonight with Philly and Minnesota, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough. Philly has, a couple of couple of
Philly
injuries.
-6, so
Yeah,
less
you
than
have,
a touchdown
but
diff.
like Gainwell is out, and that hurts
Yeah,
the running game. Your good friend Bradbury is out. But I would expect that the Eagles will feed off of the home crowd and win. I think 6 is a good number. I would see the Eagles winning by at least a touchdown.
yeah, I kind of think that everything that went right for Minnesota last year to get them to those 13 wins was going to go wrong this year. So
Yep.
I'm with you there. Giants and Cardinals, real quick, is a 4:05 kick. Unless you're a Giant fan, don't watch this game. That's all I could say. It's going to be ugly. Hopefully, like I said, it's a get right game for the Giants. So what's the next game that catches your fancy there, buddy?
Yeah, Giants favored by 4. The AFC
Well,
North is,
they're going at it
they're
early.
going right at it early, right?
Yeah.
The two divisional matchups last week, and now they flip flopped. And so you have the Ravens at Cincinnati in the 1 o'clock time slot on CBS. The Bengals favored by 3. I think that's just going to be a dogfight. I mean,
Yeah.
the Ravens' good defense. Does Joe Burrow bounce back? I mean, that's going to be a tremendous game.
Ravens, handily beat the Texans, but they lost J.K. Dobbins for the year again. I mean, poor kid just can't catch a break.
No.
They still have Gus Edwards and others in the backfield that will help them. But yeah, I agree. So who did you like in that game? I missed it.
Boy, oh boy. It's tough. And this is like, so the week 1, let's not, overreact. The Bengals were horrible against the Browns, losing 24-3.
Lost.
Right.
Just
They
like
all
he
looked
never played
lost.
football before.
Yeah. Just trouble all the way around. I would imagine they'll bounce back. I don't know. My gut says Baltimore. My head says Cincinnati.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that Cincinnati is going to start 0-2. I can see them
with
both
2 divisional losses.
Right. That would be. They're going to put, like you said, a lot more effort and concentration in this week. So I'm with you there. What about your Raiders and Bills? You have any expectations there?
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo's home opener favored by 8.5. The Raiders defense is not as good as the Jets defense. I would imagine that the Bills are going to bounce back and have a really good performance. And everybody's going to go, okay, we know it's not the Jets, but they came back and showed us something, that they are a very good team, which they are. Just because they lost doesn't mean they're not a good team. So I expect big things out of the Bills, and I expect them to win by more than that.
Raiders, they beat Russell Hustle and Russell Wilson and Broncos. Sean Payton opening the season with an onside. You cannot destroy another NFL head coach in the offseason and then come out with that crap.
Oh, yeah, apparently you can.
It worked in the Super Bowl at halftime, but
right.
Come on.
Yeah.
And frankly, though, if you watch the replay, Denver had it. It went right through the kid's hands. Oh, no. Yeah. He touched it at 9.5 yards. I take it back. It has to go 10 yards.
Yep.
And he had it, but it was at 9.5 yards, so he couldn't take it. But yeah, the Raiders actually looked a little better from what I saw, at least in the highlights. I obviously didn't see the game itself, but I'm with you. I think the Bills come out and say, announce their presence with authority, like Nuke LaLoosh.
Yep. Nice. The other game is very intriguing. Playoff rematch, the Chiefs at the Jaguars. Also in the 1 o'clock time slot, which is crazy. You would have thought that, maybe they would have pushed one of these games. Well, they're not because they have the Jets and the Cowboys in the 4:30 slot. Right. But Kansas City at Jacksonville, Kansas City's favored by 3.5, despite the fact that they're coming off of a loss in the Thursday night game, which feels like 8,000 years ago, against the Lions. I mean, again, you would think Kansas City will play better, but Jacksonville's a good team.
This is going to be a very, very good football game. Is Kelsey playing? We're pretty sure he's playing, right? From what I saw yesterday, it looked like he was on track to play. Also,
Yeah.
rumors that he's dating your girl Taylor Swift on the down low.
Oh, jeez, on the
Are
down.
you?
What do you mean? Just
If I
dating
know,
one of the all-time like most popular people right now. I don't know that you can date that person on the down low.
if I know about it, it's not on the down low.
Exactly.
And no, it's one of those. Don't you hate when someone has a secret and they're like, "Don't tell anybody," and then you find
Yeah.
out they've told everybody. They just want to be the one with the information, but they've told
Right.
everybody.
And Chris Jones signed, so
Yep.
he's
Future defensive
supposedly
player of the year,
going
Chris
to
Jones.
play. Yes, Kelsey is
can you say his name
expected.
right?
Chris Jones.
Future defensive player of the year, Chris Jones.
I'll just say Chris Jones.
If we go back to lose with us last week.
Yeah. And yes, Travis Kelsey expected to play as well. So yeah.
Good.
That seems good.
I'm interested to see if Trevor Lawrence can he's really going to have the laser focus. They have a lot of weapons, dude.
Yeah.
That Jaguar team is a nice team. I'm going to say I would take the Jaguars plus 3.5. I don't know if they'll win outright, but I think it's going to be super tight.
Yeah, so, it feels like a very, very close game.
And the over 51, I would take the over. Even though that's a big NFL number, I could see both teams in the 30s there easily, a la, the Chargers. And the
I mean, it only needs to be 30-20, and then you're pretty close. So that, that feels... Yeah. That feels about right.
Yeah, good for both of those teams. And the other 1:00 games, we got some real dubs. Colts tight.
Texans, nothing
Bears,
else in the
Buccaneers.
1:00.
Boy, the Bears just. I listened to.
I do have another one, but go ahead. Yeah, with
Chicago podcasts, Bears fans in particular, and they had so much hope and hype coming in, and the way Justin Fields and that offense ended the season last year, and they really kind of turned them loose, and boy, they just laid a big old popcorn fart out there, dude. And the Buccaneers with that, like I said, surprising win. This is the Bears. This is a must win for the Bears. Is that too early to say that? In week two?
No. I mean, I you don't want them to have another clunker performance. I think that's for sure.
Justin Fields needs to play well.
Yes,
is what really needs to happen.
Well, I mean, he's going to drive the bus for them this year. Like, they're not going to be good if Justin Fields has a bad year.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Chargers Titans, is that what your next game?
No. The Seahawks at Detroit.
Sea chickens.
All
of a sudden, it's a really good game.
Yeah, all of a sudden is a really good game. Seattle did lose in week 1, but I think people are expecting good things out of them. Certainly we are.
Did you see the clip of Geno Smith when Aaron Donald came around the end?
No, I did not.
So they had him mic'd up, and Donald ran a stunt and came through untouched. And Smith drops back and he yells, "Oh my God!" And he threw the ball away. And it's so funny. If you guys haven't seen it, it's out there everywhere. What we would all say, and that was surprising. The Rams came out and it's like, oh, wait, we're going to be okay. Matthew Stafford looked really good.
Yeah.
Akers was back running the ball. Aaron Donald was doing Aaron Donald things. So all of a sudden, I thought the Rams were going to be atrocious. I think they're going to be frisky this year.
Yeah.
I like them in this game to cover. We're not talking about their game yet.
No, but
Seattle, but I like them to cover against the Niners. I think the Niners will win, but plus 7.5 in a division game, I think will be good.
Yeah, feels like that's going to be closer. I don't know. I've said Detroit's. I have Dan Campbell as coach of the year. Detroit's my surprise team. They're favored by 4.5 home opener. They played really well against the Chiefs. Say what you want about not having Kelsey there. Their defense is much, much improved. I think Seattle I think Detroit wins that game, but I'm interested because I think Seattle is a good team too. That's a big NFC rivalry. Those two teams, if they're fighting for playoff position down the stretch, this game is huge in week 2.
Right. So obviously what they were hoping the marquee 4:30 game was going to be the Cowgirls and the Jets.
Well, it is
Still
marquee.
intriguing.
Both teams are 1-0.
Still two really good defenses, although you think the Jets are overrated in that department. This will definitely be a litmus test on what I can't remember his actual name. I was going to call him the MILF Hunter forever.
Zach Wilson.
Zachary Wilson. He was on the screen. My wife goes, "He looks like he's 12." And I'm like, "You should have seen him last year when he was a rookie." She's like, "He's not a rookie." Nope. And then I explained the whole MILF Hunter story for her. She shook her head and left the room.
Yeah.
Which is usually her reaction to me anyway after all this years. This game is going to be very good, though. You know, you're going to get your boy Tony
Dallas
Romo.
-9. -9. I agree with you. I like, yeah, it really is. You know, and this is an overreaction.
Yeah.
To Dallas's 40-0 win against the Giants. Like that's -9 is a big number in the NFL. You don't see a lot of them go above 10 all that often. So 9 is a lot, but yeah, I agree with you. I think this will be more entertaining. It certainly is not Aaron Rodgers, but it's going to sit right there
to see if the Jets are going to find another quarterback to go with the rest of the year, and whether, you know, they could trade for a backup like Trubisky. I've heard that had some interest in. Someone floated the other day, Sam Darnold coming back.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, which, you know, but he's a backup. You know, there's some other options out there.
Trade for Trey Lance. Oh.
Sunday night, Dolphins Patriots. You know, important to you, AFC East battle.
Yeah,
I think the Dolphins offense is prolific with Tua in there.
Oh yeah.
I just don't believe that he's going to stay healthy.
No,
all season. He does take too many hits and too many chances.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're saying it's going to be rainy. That actually be good for the passing game for as long as it's not a downpour.
Yeah.
You get a little tackiness on the ball. I think this is going to be a fun game. We've got Patriots +3 over under 46.5. I like the over. I think the Dolphins could put up 35 themselves.
Yeah, and they put up 36 in week 1, and you know, the sun and fun there in LA.
Yeah, there's a defense optional game out there. And the Chargers find a way to lose another close game.
What a surprise. Doesn't matter who the coach is. Yep. Who the players are. Yep. The Chargers are going to charge. This game, it pains me to say this, but because the Bills lost a divisional game week 1, I actually probably will root for New England.
No, stop the presses.
I know.
No,
I know.
I get
well,
you.
it's not, you know, it's not the other guy at quarterback. So I can mildly root for them, because then that makes all 4 of the teams, if the Bills win and the Jets lose, 1-1 after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. Pump the brakes. And then for some reason on Monday night,
2 Monday night games. Yeah, no idea.
They've done this in week 1 in the past.
Right, in week 1 would make sense, but they didn't want to upstage, you know, Aaron Rodgers.
The September 11th is what they leaned on. They didn't want to upstage the ceremonies and all that. But that was their excuse. But this is
but then you don't mean you put 2 games the next week.
Right. So Saints Panthers, you know, I don't have much interest in. I think that neither one of these teams are going to go too far. You know, Carr looked okay last week in his debut. You know, Kamara is still suspended for a couple of games.
Yeah.
We did have
a Michael Thomas sighting.
Yeah. So
I was like, what?
He's overdue to get injured in this game, probably second quarter. I mean, I don't wish it. I really don't wish it.
No, but he still has a couple days to get injured in practice.
And I'm not sure what the Panthers are doing. I don't know if they have a plan. I don't know. I would watch to see what they look like, because I really haven't eyeballed them in about a year. But everything I've seen, every coverage, everything I've read, it just doesn't seem like they have a general direction. So I'd probably take the Saints, but I would really stay away if you're a gambler on this one.
Yeah,
And then Brown Steelers, AFC North, or the Norris division,
the
as
Norris.
Chris Berman would say. You got the Steelers plus 2.5.
I know
Steelers getting points,
that's crazy.
right?
I mean,
And the over under is
again, that,
38.5. What is this,
yeah,
like wing T
yeah,
Army versus Navy?
defensive struggle, a little bit of an overreaction there to the Browns, win against the Bengals, I think
Right.
is what pushes. I mean, they're almost
The Browns didn't look great, just the Bengals are terrible.
yeah,
Terrible.
yeah. And it's shocking to me. I would have thought at least Pittsburgh by 1 or 2 just
Right.
at home. They're giving the Steelers no credit. Nothing.
Well, they got blown out by the Niners. I think people expected the Niners to win that game, but they, besides TJ Watt, that Steeler team did not look great. Pickett looked like a little bit of regression, and I like him. I hope that was just a week one jitter thing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Pump
So
the
Dave,
brakes.
let's wrap it up with pump the brakes here. Unless you have anything else you want to say here for week 2 of the NFL, our week 2 preview and the recap of our New York teams. I think Dave said it best when he did say pump the brakes. Overreaction Monday, overreaction week 1.
Yeah.
Everyone take a deep breath. You're not as good as your week 1 victory. You're not as bad as your week 1 loss. Water will find its level. So stay with it, fans of all of our New York teams and all the teams you're out there rooting for. We appreciate all the support and love, and we're going to continue to report back to you on the NFL. Check out Lose With Us, which will be out probably Friday night or Saturday morning, so you can get ready for whatever adult entertainment you're going to have for the weekend.
As far as football goes, yes.
As far as football goes, we have a Yankee and college football podcast out there with a lot of good information for you for college football. And baseball playoffs are getting ready to heat up. I was eyeballing the matchups today and starting to get a little feel for it. So, we're here, and we appreciate that you're here too at Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for 5. Good night, everybody.
See ya.